Hi everyone, it's Jules. Welcome to Jules Journals. In this video, I'm going to recap 2024. I'm going to talk about my favorite moments, my YouTube stats, my top 3 favorite books, my top 3 favorite movies, and my top 3 favorite TV shows of 2024. So let's jump right in. I'm first going to talk about my YouTube stats. I find them kind of interesting, and maybe some of you are curious if you have a YouTube channel or you're thinking about starting one. My advice is to just start, because it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And just start. I mean, yeah, I started my channel 3 years ago and I still really struggle. I struggle to get views, but you know what? I enjoy it and I enjoy looking back at some videos. So I recommend starting if you've been thinking about it. So I gained 207 subscribers in 2024. Thank you so much for everyone that has subscribed. I really appreciate you guys. I've been in and out of YouTube because of some personal things in my life, but I really appreciate everyone sticking around, and especially those OG people that comment on a lot of my videos. I really appreciate you guys. And I had 27.5 thousand views and 2.2 thousand watch hours in 2024. And so I don't know if a lot of you know, but to be monetized on YouTube, you have to have 4,000 watch hours, which within a 365-day period. So I am only at 2,113 watch hours, so I need more watch hours to get monetized. I was at one point monetized, and then I think because I disappeared for a long time, those watch hours went way down and I lost that monetization. So if you want to do anything for my channel to help me out, go back and watch old videos. You could just let them run and not even watch them, but I need the watch hours to get to 4,000. That's quite a bit, so I don't know if that will happen in 2025, but that is a goal, I think, for everyone, ultimately, if you're on YouTube. But it's not a big deal for me. I have a full-time job, so it's not like I'm expecting to make a ton of money, but it would be nice to pay for some magazines and books once in a while. So those are my stats. I am pretty happy about all of that, even with the year that we had. Let's jump in, and I'm trying to read my notes without my glasses on because of the glare that it gives. Let's talk about my top favorite moments, and I'll post a couple pictures in here, but I have 3 top moments of the year, and they all revolve around traveling. That is a passion of mine. I love to travel. So the first one, these are not in any order, but we went to Seattle and to the state of Washington. We live in Minnesota, in August, and we really enjoyed our time there. We went to Olympic National Park. My husband rented a Harley for a day, and he went to Mount Rainier, and I went off by myself and did some local bookstore shopping and went to see the Trolls by Thomas Dambo, I think is his name. But we really enjoyed our time in Seattle. We had a little bit of a snafu coming back with my husband losing his wallet, but other than that, we had a good time. And then we went camping at a state park here in Minnesota. We rented a camper cabin, so it has electricity and heat. It just did not have running water, so we had to use the outhouse type bathroom. But we really enjoyed it. It was a relaxing weekend and just stargazing. We live in a suburb of the Twin Cities, so we don't get to see the stars that often, but seeing the stars out in the wilderness was amazing, and I loved that. And then my husband went on 2 motorcycle trips this year. He went on a trip where he went all around Lake Superior, even up into Canada and all the way around into Michigan. And then and that was kind of getting him ready for his bigger trip, which was a motorcycle trip to the southeast. He did like Kentucky, Tennessee, I think he was in Virginia or West Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama, and then he circled back around and came back up into Tennessee, into Memphis, and then he came home. And that was, I think he was gone 2.5 weeks maybe, but he really enjoyed that, and that feeds his soul, so I was very happy that he got to do that. All right, let's jump into my top 3 books of the year. And number 2 and number 3 keep changing, but number 1 has remained the same since I read it. But number 3, and I do have a longer video on my channel where I have about 10 books that I discuss, but these are the top 3. And The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel, and This is a World War II historical fiction. This woman discovers that she is a good forger, and she forges identification for children so that they can escape. And it is very moving and touching. It's hard, it's a hard subject matter, but it was really well written, and I can't wait to read another Kristen Harmel book. I plan to do that in 2025. Number 2 is The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. I started off with these 2 books at the beginning of the year. I was like, wow, I'm going to have an amazing reading year, which I did. But I also realized I'm in my historical fiction era. I love this book. This is based on a true person, and she is a midwife in the 1700s in Maine. And this is a feminist story. And, she's battling the men who are telling her that, she's probably not good enough to deliver babies or something like that. But then she also helps solve a murder. That's kind of the backdrop of the story, is this mystery. So good. Highly recommend. Quick chapters, page turner. I love the format it was told in, and I know this is a favorite of a lot of people for this year, and I highly recommend it. My ultimate favorite, and I keep saying it's like a hug from nature. It is a nonfiction. It's Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And she just has a new book, and that is The Serviceberry. And this is Serviceberry is a short, small little book. And it's really cute, but I haven't read that yet. Back to Braiding Sweetgrass. She is an Indigenous woman, and she's a botanist. And this book is all about nature and how we can give back to the world as far as nature goes, and the environment, and how the environment can feed us. I loved it. I listened to this on walks when my mom was sick and passing away, and it fed my soul. I loved it. The audio is narrated by, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. The audiobook is narrated by the author, and she does an amazing job. Her voice is so soothing. So if you need something calming and relaxing, this is it. I recommend it on audio. I did go back and no, I can't stop crying. This is 2024. This is my recap of 2024. But what was I saying? That's another recap of 2024. My brain is just gone. Oh, what I was going to say is I went back and did it on physically reading it because I wanted to annotate some of it, but I recommend doing it in tandem just because the audio is so amazing with her narrating it. I want to do this probably once a year, and I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. All right. Top 3 movies. Okay, number 3 is Small Things Like These. It's based on a book by Claire Keegan, which is a short little quick book, which I think is right, it's like right there. Right where that globe is, you can see the green. And the movie stars, now I can't think of his name. I should know it, the Peaky Blinders guy. And the movie is very quiet, but intense and powerful at the same time. It's really hard to describe. Like, you can hear their breaths, and there's not a lot of dialogue. So if you like quick, fast-paced movies, this is not it. But it's a hard subject matter as well, and it's based on a true story, which makes it even harder to watch. And at the end of the movie, we went to it in the theater. I went with my girlfriend, and we just sat there, and everybody in the theater sat there in silence. It was so powerful, and I think it's an important topic and something that needs to be talked about more, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a fun, uplifting type of, which I'm finding that's not really my thing anyway, but I really enjoyed that movie. Love the book as well, both probably equally. And yes. Okay, so number 2 is Woman of the Hour. That is a new Anna Kendrick movie. It came out this past year. I believe it came out this past year, but I loved it. This is her directorial debut, and I loved it. It's dark, and it's about a true story about the serial killer, the dating game serial killer. So if that does not interest you, don't watch it. There's some darkness to it for sure. And it's loosely based on the true story, because obviously there's some liberties with dramatization and all of that, but I loved it. She did a phenomenal job. It's so good. Okay, number 1, I have thought about this movie so many times, and it just appeared on like Hulu or Netflix. It's Caddo Lake. It's not really talked about that much. I loved it. And I don't want to say too much about it because there is some spoilers, significant spoilers, about a half hour in, maybe an hour in, you go, oh shit, that's what's happening. And that makes it so fun. So I don't want to give anything away. And at first I was like, oh, this movie's okay. And then that came about and I was like, oh, yep, love that. So there are some movies I've watched recently at the end of 2024 that I love, and I'll put them on my 2025 list because I feel like before Christmas is where I kind of end my year as far as favorites go, because we have to send out a family newsletter and I put all my favorites on there. But some of those are amazing. I'm just going to briefly mention them. We went and saw A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie with Timothée Chalamet. Amazing. And then one I've watched recently that I love is Conclave, and I just rewatched it because the first time I was not paying attention, is Conclave. And that is really slow. So these are, I guess, our honorable mentions. It's really slow, and there's not a lot that happens. And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. I literally I was on the treadmill, and I was talking to the TV. So I recommend that one. But my favorite movie, if I have to go with my time period of 2024, is Caddo Lake. Highly recommend checking that one out. I think the last thing I want to talk about is my top 3 favorite shows. And number 3 is Nobody Wants This. And Kristen Bell is in that. And it's based on a true story. And her sister are podcasters, and they kind of have like a sex podcast, or they just talk about single life and hooking up, that kind of thing. And then she meets this rabbi and they fall in love. And that is a true story. It's based on her real relationship with her husband. Loved it. It was so good. It is kind of a binge-worthy show where each episode is kind of a cliffhanger. So absolutely love that. And I'm not a rom-com gal, but I really liked it. And then number 2 is Shrinking Season 2. Whoa, that show is so well written. It is amazing. One of the lines in it, I was laughing so hard. It's the British guy from Ted Lasso, Brett Goldstein. I think that might be his name. And he says, they're talking about Thanksgiving. And he says, he's like, I don't understand Americans and having one day to celebrate stealing land from another. Us British, that's every day we celebrate. Something to that effect. It was much better in the show. Love that. It's so well written, so good. It's heartwarming yet funny. Love it. And then number 1 is True Detective season 4? It's the winter one. It takes place in Alaska. So all of it is pretty much in darkness, which I love dark shows, grittiness. And it is intense. It's mysterious. The performances are outstanding. And I absolutely love that. I think everything on this I absolutely loved, and I'm hoping for a better 2025. Personally, my life really sucked, especially February to September. So I'm hoping for a better 2025, and I hope you guys have a great start to your new year, and I hope your 2024 was better than mine. What were your absolute favorites of 2024? Books, movies? If you have a YouTube channel, what's your favorite video you posted? I was going to do how many videos I posted, and I forgot to do that, but I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will check in with you soon. Take care.